Hello, it's Neo, and I'm back. Wanted to do a reading today, and also wanted to talk about the nature of reality and what tarot is and what divination is from my perspective. Um, may not resonate with everybody, depending on where you're at on your journey. Um, And also a little bit about myself. I am a psychic, intuitive. I have a lot of my clairs active, clairaudience, clairsentience, clairvoyance. Um, I can jump timelines, and I'm a medium. And I can also communicate with animals. So regardless of where you're at, this may or may not resonate, but you don't have to be like me. You can be like you are. You don't have to be just like me for this to be valuable, is my point. As far as divination goes, divining, there's tons of ways to do it. Tarot is a form of divination, but oracle reading, prophesizing. A lot of people think seeing into the future um, and want to go to a reader. I know when I went to a reader once, they kind of told me a little bit about myself, and this was years ago. And I think the preconceived notion is it's predicting the future. But I think a lot of people who don't practice and haven't had the front row seat of experiencing channeling don't understand is none of it is written in stone. So, but so things can change. You could hear something that's for you, and then you could make a different choice, or you could level up and you could bypass some of that might have been in the reading. For example, is it not being written in stone? And I think a lot of people don't understand that part of divination because time is fluid and your ability to move through it changes with your perspective changing and with the alignment of yourself with your internal reality and the external reality that we all live in, which is affected by nature, the planet, the solar system, the constellations, and all of the different spirit realms, mental, physical, emotional. There's a lot of layers to reality. And I think some people's perspective doesn't always take that into account. For example, there's a lot of misconceptions about time, and even with astrology and people's signs. A lot of people who are new to astrology and time don't understand that the base models, the standard models, are useful, but they're not as accurate as the true astrology and the true time, because time is just a representation of planetary alignment. And Western tropical astrology with the 12-month calendar is not the true sidereal astrology wheel. And I like to go based on real versus the standard model, which for me is not really, it's a no-brainer. So what that means is the 12-month and the hours in the day is based on uh, a standard model that we've all agreed to. But to me, when I saw the sidereal, it made me see that old model as more of the matrix. And it's a standard that we can all agree on, like a ruler, right? We all know it's 12 inches, so we can use that to get things done and be on the same page. That's kind of how I see time with the 24 hours and the 12 months, 12 hours, 12 months. But if we take Ophiuchus as the 13th month and we think about what a clock is, seconds, minutes, and hours, I've found that those line up to the signs in astrology of sun, moon, and rising. The sun being the longest duration, and to a clock that would be the hours. The minutes being the moon, which is the next fastest, and the seconds being the ascending, which changes every 2 hours. And the original clock was a sundial on the ground that measured where the sun was shading. That told you what time it was, which is where I got the correlation between a clock, a watch, as a tool, and what it actually represents is the planets and where they are right now. And since there really is only right now to be in your power and be present and aligned, and the past is, we say the past is dead and the future hasn't happened yet. So to focus on those things is a part of life, but to not come back to the now and even to know what the now represents. And it's not what time it is. Those are just numbers that we use like a ruler, right? It's just a tool that we made up. So clock is a tool that we made up. There really is no it's 1 o'clock. That's not a thing. Somebody made that up. But what it represents is where the planets are. And one way to know where the planets are that I use is a star map with real time. So I can hold up the map and move it around and I can see 360 degrees this way, 360 degrees this way, where all the constellations are, where all the planets are, where is the sun, where is the moon, what phase is it in, what constellations are overlap, or what constellations have what planets in them. That's what time it is. That's what's happening right now, because that's what energies are affecting us externally, if that makes sense. So going back to the 13, I think we don't really get to look at right now, and a lot of people are not in sync and in their full power because we were never taught what now it really is. We were taught to follow this ruler. That's like saying a ruler is reality. That's not reality. That's a way to measure things. Just like a clock is a way to measure something we call time. But really, if time is just right now, and that's a tool to measure it, shouldn't it be based on reality? Because what it's based on is a standard average of 12 months that is not accurate. So if you look at a 13-month sidereal astrology, for example, Scorpio, if we were to look at when the sun, because it's about, if you're a Scorpio, right, it's about when the sun is in Scorpio, but that in traditional astrology is in the sky for, uh, well, in traditional, Scorpio is, it's a month. But in reality, the sun is only in Scorpio for like 13 days, right? So if we're saying, oh, I'm a Scorpio, but if you look up in the sky and use a star chart and you look at where the sun is not those 30 days that Scorpio is based, your sun sign, that's not how long it's in Scorpio. The rest of the time it's in it Ophiuchus or something. So, which a lot of people are identifying with something that's not who they actually are. That's not, when I say who you are, like when you were born, you're imprinted with a certain energy signature based on where the planets are. We're coming from the stars, we're star seeds. So when you are born and you come through the portal and you're here, where the stars are is your imprint, your blueprint for your energies, right? So your sun, if you were born, I don't have a chart in front of me, but if you were born actually when the sun was in Scorpio and you're actually a Scorpio and you identify with that would be useful. But what if you're falling in a different sign and you're identifying with Scorpio and you're not able to utilize those energies according to your blueprint? You're looking at a standard blueprint that doesn't apply to everybody, is my point. So that being said, I suggest people do some research on, if you haven't heard of it, it's spelled Side, SIDE, real, sidereal astrology. And a lot of people know about it. It's not new. And look at, and you can even chat GPT it. And there's a lot of different tools on the internet to help you figure out what your true star chart is. And a lot of people don't want to go through that, and they just say, oh, I'm this, I'm a, what are we in now? Leo, I'm a Leo, but if you look in the sky right now, the sun is actually still in Cancer. So we're going through the Lionsgate portal, but if I put my star map up and I show you where the sun is, it'll show you it's not in Leo, it's still in Cancer, right? So because that's based on that the app, when you look up in the sky, is based on reality right now. It's not a standard average. That's, to me, that's more of the matrix. It gets people in the ballpark, but you can never really lock in on who you are if you're identifying with Leo right now, right? You were born right now, but the sun is still in Cancer, and knowing that might have you be more open to being more of a watery person. You're emotional, or at least being able to tap into it. Now, all of the signs, we have access to all of them. They're all elements and they're all energies and they all exist. And we have to learn how to navigate through all of them. You don't get to just be one and that's all you are, right? That's just one of your gifts that you were gifted. Hey, I got Leo, I'm fiery, so I navigate when that energy is on point more effectively, easily. It's like those are your gifts, right? If you don't know what your gifts are and you think it's one thing and it's really something else, I don't think that's useful, is my point. So that being said, I invite people to look into the sidereal astrology. And I see a lot of readers, saying the tropical, which is fine. I think there's a lot of value in that. And if you're reading another thing based on the intention, whatever your intention is when you're a reader, is what your intuition is locking in on, regardless of what's in the sky. I believe if you're reading for an energy, even if it's not really in that energy fully, it's about to be. It's about to be Leo, but it's not right now. I think you can still, I'm not negating the tropical. I'm just suggesting if people want to get a closer lock in on reality as opposed to the program of the Matrix, this is how I've done that. To be in alignment with the sun. The sun is what gives life to everything. If you're acting as if it's somewhere that it's not, to me, that's not acting in reality. It's kind of a no-brainer from my perspective. I'm not saying there's not value, again, and I'm not negating anybody. I'm just saying it's like shooting a weapon without a scope, and then you put a scope on and you lock in on the target easier. That's all. You're still in the ballpark, right? And there's still value, and you might even hit the target without a scope. But if you have a scope, it's like magnifying and getting very close to the best possible solution. That's how I would put it. Anyway, it's like trying to measure something with and without a ruler, like that too. You can guesstimate or you can be more accurate. And I'm not actually going to pull any cards right now. I just wanted this short clip to be about getting people introduced to time as relates to astrology, as relates to your gifts, and having some different options other than what we're programmed to accept. So I hope that's useful for somebody out there. 1717 on the timer. All right, thanks for listening, guys. Catch you on the next one.